Welcome to my show called Inspired Blessings with Jean Marie Prince. And today we have 4 guests actually. Okay, we have Tim Jaccard, and then we also have Karen and Sherwin Langford, and then we have baby Jackson. Today we'll be discussing a topic and in which you have sometimes pregnant mothers where they might be young or they might be afraid and they're not sure what should they do with the baby that they're going to be delivering. So Tim Jaccard, basically, he works for the Nassau County Police medic for what, over 37 years?
37 years.
Right.
Now.
And
40 years now.
Oh, 40 years, wow, okay. In 1998, you were also the author of the original Baby Safe Haven bill known as the Infant Abandoned Protection Act.
Correct.
Right. Then in the same year, you founded the Children of Hope Baby Safe Haven program, the first of its kind in the country, and this allows to, for a newborn baby to be safely given to the different safe zone areas, and where the mother doesn't, won't get questioned for leaving the baby. And so, and also in the fact that I was mentioning Karen and Sherwin, and so they actually have their baby Jackson, and so I just again want to welcome everybody on the show.
Thank you for having us on.
Oh, no problem. And first of all, I want to mention that I am personally grateful for such a bill, and this actually touches me personally because I was abandoned at 2 days old in a public bathroom myself. Okay, so if it wasn't for, I don't know really what my story is, okay, or whether or not, it was a stranger or an angel, but even that stranger was an angel to bring me to an orphanage to live there, and so on. So that's why this, topic, your story actually ends up, being special. Now, Tim, I want to ask you a question in the fact that what actually made you get involved, with this? What inspired you?
Well, in 1998, I was working the afternoon shift when I got a call for baby not breathing. And I was sitting in front of the courthouse in Hempstead on Main Street when the call came in, and it was there in the courthouse is where the call was resonating
Right.
from. I responded, ran out of the ambulance and ran across the street and into the courthouse, and I found a 6-pound, 4-ounce baby boy drowned in the toilet bowl by his mother with over 400 people in the lobby.
Wow.
2 weeks later, responded to a call, baby not breathing, and I found a little baby girl wrapped up in a plastic bag that was on the side of a building in Albertson.
And how many years at this time was it that you were with?
At that time, I was 27 years in the police department.
And was this the first time that you?
No, I've had calls before
Right.
with newborn infants being victim to infanticide. At the time, they referred to it as infanticide. What happened on this particular case was God sometimes puts you in places and sends messages to you, and those messages might be bad situations, and He wants to bring that attention to the people to try to see if it can be changed. So after the first call in the courthouse, the second call in Albertson, 2 weeks after that call, I received a call for baby not breathing, and I found a baby in the backyard that was unearthed by a dog that was buried.
Ooh, oh my goodness.
3 weeks after that,
Wow.
responded to a call, baby not breathing, and I found a little baby boy in a plastic bag inside a recycling bin in Lawrence, Cedarhurst.
Oh my goodness.
This was the situations that caused me to start being concerned, and I researched and discovered that in 1998, a young woman could not legally go into a hospital, police, or fire station and relinquish her baby. She could not even go into a hospital, give birth, and leave with the intent not to take the baby without being charged with the crime of abandonment, endangering
Right.
the welfare of a child, and child neglect.
Wow.
So that's when I realized that something had to be done about this.
I mean, for you to come upon such a scene, I mean, it just must touch you here in the fact that, how could you even focus the rest of the day on something
I
after
called
seeing
those
that?
first 90 days of when these calls came in as part of a trip through hell, is what it was. And
Right.
it was extremely difficult. But then I wrote a bill, and I called it the Safe Haven Bill, or it was known as also the Infant Abandonment Protection Act.
Right, right.
And I tried to get it locally passed here, and could not do that. So Dennis Dillon, at the time, was the district attorney here in Nassau, Charles Hines in Queens, and another gentleman by the name of John Tyson in Mobile, Alabama, was dealing with the situation, because I had discovered that in a 10-month period from the time I found baby Angelica, and that's what I named him, to the time that I started presenting this bill, in 10 months, we had 41 babies found victim to infanticide.
Wow.
And out of those, 82% of those babies were victims of what is known as neonaticide.
Right.
That's where the babies are killed within the first 24 hours.
Wow.
And at that point, that is when I wound up taking the trip, and I went to Texas, because Texas was the only governor at that time, George Bush, that was willing to talk with me and discuss the possibility of finding a way to make a safe haven to where a mother can go to a hospital, police, and fire station and relinquish her baby.
Right.
So-
So was New York the first? I mean, you
No,
were...
Texas was the first state
Okay,
that passed it.
okay,
So
sorry.
I wrote the bill, presented it, and through George Bush as being governor, he then had his legislators, and he actually changed the name of the bill, his bill in Texas, to the Baby Moses Bill.
Okay,
So that became the first bill passed in the United States.
sure.
And then from there, we went across the United States trying to get...
So how long did that whole process take then?
It took 10 years to get all the bills
Wow.
passed. And then the District of Columbia was the last territory, and that's Washington, D.C. And what's a unique situation with that is George Bush, being governor, passed his first bill. When he was President of the United States, he aided in getting the last bill passed, which was the Texas, which was D.C.
Right.
29 days before he left office.
Wow, wow. Well, you know what? There are so many babies out there that they're so grateful for what you're doing, I'm telling you, and even continuing to do. So what would you say, how many babies a month would be given up?
Well, totally, all the babies that have been rescued nationwide is 2,892 babies as of this past Monday.
Wow, think of
Last
those
year
lives.
in New
yeah.
York State, New York and Maryland are the two states that are most unique with the safe haven laws. Those laws allow a birth mother to relinquish a baby at a hospital, police, or fire station, or to any responsible person willing to accept the newborn and call the proper authorities, and do it within 30 days.
Right, and the thing is that these mothers, do they seriously feel the fact that they are anonymous, that there is going to be no repercussions?
That's the whole purpose of the
Right, so
program.
I'm saying, so they feel comfortable with that? No,
Correct.
yeah.
So when they come in, and let's say they call a crisis center, now we operate several crisis centers. We have one in Ohio, Massachusetts, New York, we have Maryland, and the incoming calls on all those lines. And they can then call, and we can guide them through that.
Right.
When they do call, we try to give them 3 plans. And the plans that we have is a parenting plan within the nucleus of the family, and try to work her through that process. If that's not an option for the young woman, then we try to discuss with her the ability to be able to choose an adoption agency, a licensed adoption agency, and/or a private attorney that can help her with an adoption plan.
Okay.
And if that's not the option, then the last resort, we then have the Safe Haven program where the mother can drop the baby off and call us, and we can dispatch an ambulance to any location in the United States to be able to meet and pick up the baby.
Right. Now, what kind of logo would a mother be able to see to know that that's a safe haven spot?
Well, these are the national Safe Haven signs that we have, and it says "Safe Baby, Safe Place, Safe Haven."
Right.
These are placed underneath the hospital signs,
Sure.
the big H blue signs.
You may want
And-
to just turn it so maybe the audience could also see what it would be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then the other sign that we have is when the fire departments are involved, they have call boxes. And this is the sign that they have that will give them instructions on what to do. And it states that they, please pick up the call box, pick up the phone, someone will give you instructions, and the baby will be safe, and someone will be able to help the birth
Right,
mother out on
right.
this, and it's in Spanish
Sure,
and English.
sure. No, that's great, so that, you know, that the mothers would know. What happens with the fathers? I mean, how do they,
Well, in the 23 states passed their laws with what is known as a putative father's registry. Now, if a father fathered a child out of wedlock,
okay,
he can register under this registry, and if a baby is brought into any safe haven program, that master list, he will be notified by registered letters stating that a baby has been relinquished in the description that he gave us. And then in that, we can then notify him, and the DNA would be then taken, and there could be a match, and then he would have a say in court as to the placement of that child for adoption and/or
Mother
parenting.
decides to put the baby up for adoption. At that point, is it private adoption or is it a?
She can make the decision of making it an open adoption or a private closed adoption, it's referred to as. The closed adoptions are the most common in safe haven situations. When a baby comes into the actual safe haven program, and her name is, let's say, Mary Hope or Marie Hope,
Right.
as we had with Jackson's mother. Marie Hope did in fact want to relinquish the baby. We managed to get it to the hospital where she gave birth in the hospital under an assumed name, which is the AK, which is Maria Hope. After she gave birth, we tried to convey to her the availability of trying to keep the child within the nucleus of her family, and that was not an option that she wanted to keep. The father was unknown, and so that tells us another side of her story,
Right.
that we might have another problem here
Sure.
that she is trying to cope with. And then the adoption plan, she still wanted to relinquish, but then after the counseling, we were able to convey to her that she can pick a loving couple off the internet and place that child.
Right.
And that's what Maria did on this particular case.
Now, is there a certain age of the baby that that you'll accept? See a mother, let's say, that might have had the baby and, let's say a month later, 2 months later, really realizes that really is a struggle. And, the fact that even 6 months later, realizes that she can't handle it. So the fact that rather than, her, let's say, killing the baby, would a safe haven still recognize
Birth mother
that?
called a year and a half ago wanting to relinquish the baby.
See, that's what I mean.
And
Okay.
then a year and a half later, now she decided to parent the child, which she did with the assistance of her grandmother, who was 87 years old. She found out that she could not care for this child and maintain it.
Sure.
So she called us wanting to relinquish the year and a half old baby, which we cannot accept. We have to explain to her, which we did, that she can make an adoption plan through a licensed adoption agency. That's what we did with that particular
Okay.
case. She was then referred to a licensed adoption agency
Sure.
that she has a choosing of.
Okay.
She has a list that we show her, and she picks from that adoption agency. And when she picks that, we notify them that we have a situation,
Okay.
and they in turn take the
Right.
rest of the case
Right.
and handle the
Okay,
placement of the
because, I think after sometimes a mother thinks that she can be able to do it, but then after a while realizes it's really tough, and, especially if the fact that she's a teenager, knowing, the cost factor, the time factor, and the, how impatient that they could end up being at that age. So the fact that that's great that, they still,
Last year, we had 2,215 calls on the crisis hotline in the New York State area here alone.
right. And so this is where Baby Jackson comes in, is to understand, and the fact that, thank goodness for the baby safe haven. Now, how did you come, learn about the program?
We received a call stating that the mother, wanted to choose the adoption option.
Right.
And we heard of it through that way, and that's how we got our little miracle.
Right.
It's just
Your hair, yes. No, that's great. Now, so you were signed up for the, or not so much that you were signed up
we
for
had
the
a
program?
profile online.
So you had, with the
and she was
agency that
able
they're
to
involved with?
choose-
With the adoption agency, or actually, Maria opted to go with a private adoption.
Okay,
So she picked the attorneys that were on a list that we gave her, and they made the arrangements, and she looked on the internet and discovered Karen and Sherwin.
right. And so, let's say so cute. So how old is Baby Jackson?
He's 11 weeks today, actually.
11 weeks.
so-
And so how old was he when you actually adopted him?
We heard about him, he was about 7 days old.
Wow, okay.
And then we met him a day later, and then we got to take him home on his 10th day. and
Wow,
we've had him
congratulations.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
What a
We're so
blessing.
happy.
Yeah, and he's so good, because he's been so patient. And you're such a good dad.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Well, he's our little miracle, so.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. Now, so what are you, what did they tell you about Jackson and where he was, dropped off and so on, and any kind of information that you know about?
Well, it's pretty
I know,
it's
kind
pretty
of.
small what we know at this point. Basically, we know that his mother was from Guatemala, and she lived here, and she gave birth, and then she decided.
So
that
with
we don't have any
Baby Jackson, and now what a future that you're going to have,
Yeah.
you know. So then, you know, and Baby Jackson doesn't realize like how, you know, how God has blessed him, you know, because we know what the other choice would have been, and in the fact that through your program, and how you are just, by you doing this, and how the different families that are desiring to have children or can't for one reason or another, but are able to adopt 2,000 and some babies that you had just, you know, been able to save through this program.
Well,
You
that's
know,
the key, is trying to give a woman an option that is going to save the baby's life. Now, as I was explaining when we were first doing this, we were averaging in 1998 16 babies a year being victim to neonaticide. That's one a month we were finding locally here. That's not counting the rest of the country. And since the passage of the Safe Haven bill here in the New York area, we brought the death rate down to 3 last year in the entire state of New York. So that is a blessing, and with 13 babies relinquished safely last year into the Safe Haven program in New York alone, and then also 15 babies that birth mothers wanted to relinquish, but then opted to go with an adoption plan with a licensed adoption agency. And then also we had 72 birth mothers that after counseling opted, instead of relinquishing, to have their family help them through the nucleus of their own family, and the babies stayed within the families themselves.
Yeah, life is too fragile,
That is very fragile.
you know, and so the fact of, in the past, when you would see these devastating situations of the babies and things like that, your heart must be a little bit more joyous in the fact that you know that you can be able to help.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
We buried 110 babies.
Yeah, you felt like at that point your hands were tied and there was nothing that could be done, and you knew that it was just going to continue if there wasn't some kind of a stop. You know, so it's great. Now, how is it that teenagers or people that, you know, the mothers out there that are pregnant that don't want to be able to, you know, doesn't want to kill their baby, how would they be able to know more about you? You know, what kind of advertisement,
Well,
or
what we
how do you
is
get
we-
yourself
we
out
have,
there?
We have a lot of the high school students that made PSAs for us, public service announcements.
Mm-hmm.
And those PSAs are aired on Facebook and on Twitter. Matter of fact, we have one that one of the birth mothers made with us.
Mm-hmm.
And that one had already had over 45,000 hits on
Wow.
the internet. Originally, we used to air them on television. And regular television programs like
Sure.
Patricia Heaton, the actress everyone loves, and
sure.
she is one of our spokespeople also.
yeah.
And she's has done 9 PSAs for us. Those are aired, and those are the ones that are being hit pretty heavy on that. But we also find that by having high school students and going out to them, we lectured over 15,000 high school students through the health clinics
Right.
and through the high schools themselves in the sex education classes to educate them on date rapes and the prevention of date rapes. But then also we incorporate the Safe Haven program and explain to them what the program is all about.
Now, do you have a website?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
It's National Safe Haven Alliance .org that you can go to, and or you can also get the AMT Children of Hope Baby Safe Haven program. Just pop in Baby Safe Haven on the internet and you'll see the sites that we have that'll pop up.
Right. Now, I know I met you at a fundraiser
Yes.
that time, and you had a lot of people that showed up and things like that.
That
So
was the Harmony for Hope one I think you were at, right?
possibly, yeah, it was in Nassau County.
Yes.
I forget, yeah.
It was
And how often do you do the fundraisers?
I do a fundraiser every month.
Every month?
And that's important because the foundation is a 501c3, and that's how the resources are kept. All the states, most of the states, I would say 48 of them, do not have resources to promote the Safe Haven program.
Right.
So we depend strongly on donations of corporations in
Sure.
order for us to get that message out there.
Sure, no, that's great. Now, also kind of with Karen is when Baby Jackson gets bigger and things like that, have you thought about how you're going to be able to explain or to share what happened with him, you know, when he was a baby?
Well, we're going to be open, and that, you know, the fact that he's adopted, we're going to always tell him that he was brought to us and, you know, with love, and he made our lives what, you know, we wanted to have a baby for 11 years, and we tried, and he
Right.
became our little miracle. So
Right.
we'll
But I-
just be
but-
honest with him.
Yeah, but are you going to give him the details of, of the fact that his mom dropped him off, like, that this type of program, or?
I think we'll definitely tell him about the program. Well, I believe so. It's hard
Yeah.
to say right now.
Right.
But I believe, we definitely will tell him about the whole thing when he gets to a certain age where it's understandable for him to, make sense of it all.
It's like telling a child about sex. You have to do it in the age realm
Appropriate.
of where they're at.
Sure.
It's appropriate age,
Right.
at this appropriate time.
Right.
And as they get older and more mature,
Yeah.
you give them more and more information regarding
About
When he
it,
can
yeah.
handle it.
Sure.
what he can handle.
Sherwin, do you have anything to say that you want to share?
Well, first of all, I would just like to thank first of all, God for the miracle
blessing,
gift that
sure.
He gave us, and for the organization for calling us and telling us that we have a little baby boy that they wanted to adopt, and that it went through, and right now we have him. And I would just say, I would like to thank everybody for being on your show again, and for having us here sharing
Oh, no, thank you so much.
our life, our
Because
family life.
this is
with you,
really,
you know.
this is it, the fact that with baby Jackson here, it's showing what the whole purpose of this is.
Well,
It's to
yes.
saving a life,
It
it's
does,
giving Jackson a future.
I know, and it's
you
not
know,
only.
Making us a family.
I mean, here, I'm sitting in this, chair today because the fact that I was found and abandoned and
Yeah.
brought to an orphanage, and, God's given me a future
Right.
through somebody helping, and so that's what it is that you're there to, you and, well, I guess you got a whole bunch of volunteers helping
We
you,
have
right?
162 members, and we have 23 on the executive board
Right.
that does the main work on what's going on here.
Yeah, no, that's great, because
And Tracy
you can't do
Johnson
things,
is our director in Washington, D.C. She controls the national program now.
right,
It's time for us to spread this, and no one person can handle the entire.
no, hey, Blue, just, again, revert back to the TV show, I couldn't do this without my volunteers.
Right.
So it's definitely important. And so, if you were to ask for support from the viewers, what would you be asking from them?
I would hope that they would be able to get the message out there and
Yeah.
distribute this type of material. And if there's a woman out there that's in need, don't help her. Don't let her be afraid, and don't let her be alone during this process. And have them call us. And the number is a toll-free number. It's 877-796-HOPE. And it's 877-796-HOPE. Or they go online, and we have 3 counselors 24/7.
Yeah, I was going to
at the
say,
Crisis Center.
when they're calling that number, they have professional counselors?
Yes, we have their man, it's 3 of them on duty, 24/7.
Right, and, okay, and so, I just want to, really it's a blessing. It's a blessing that you're able to, bring baby Jackson here, to know what you've done, Tim, and a lot of, work, and, this is something you probably never retire from, right?
Well, I'm not, this is going to be my passion and my mission, I guess you can say. It's my
Right.
ministry, is
Right.
how I look at it. One of the unique things with last year was I actually had 12 babies from the Crisis Center that we aided them to deliver the baby by telephone.
Right.
And people out there saying, how can that happen? Well, to try to describe the situation to a young woman that's in labor and help her through it, we prefer to have them give birth in a hospital.
Right.
But sometimes that isn't feasible. So if they're in labor and they're out there, call the hotline number. We'll help them through the delivery. And we also have 6,000 ambulances that are in the Safe Haven fleet.
Right.
And we can dispatch any one of those ambulances to a location to where a young woman can walk and hand the baby to a medic in an ambulance.
Right. So Karen, you would recommend this program to any
Definitely.
mother, right?
Definitely will.
Right.
So much already.
Yeah,
I wish some of the people that would, just know that, okay, there's a young person out there
Yeah.
that has the problem, and knowing what they're going to do to that infant, just say,
Right.
okay, listen, there's a program,
other choices,
just
right?
go
yeah,
for
well,
it.
there are, yeah. That's
I
it,
mean,
and
is
that's why I felt it was important to get it on
Yeah.
TV, and I know
know.
you've done different TV, shows, but hopefully we get a different type of a group as well.
Yeah.
But I just, want to thank you so much, and I wanted to give you this because this kind of is my personal testimony. This is why you're doing what you're doing today, And so it's called My Life is in Your Hands. Over 100 inspirational prints at gmaryprints.com. But it's called My Life is in Your Hands. You took control when I was young, when I was not able. I had no mother to love me or a father to give me a hug. I was left all alone in the strange darkness. Nobody tried to claim me or said that they knew me, but Lord, you were always there watching over me, making sure that I was fed. You kept me from the cold. Your hands picked me up and brought me to a loving home. Your grace was poured on me, and I was chosen to be saved. Lord, you blessed me in many ways. I want to thank you. If it was not for your love and caring ways, where would I be today? Would I even be alive, or would I be left standing on a corner, held by the evil of the world? I'm so glad to know you chose me for your very own. I will sing your praises forevermore. And then the Bible verse is, the Lord preserveth the simple. I was brought low, and he helped me. Psalm 116:6. So I want to give you this because God has used you, to save all the babies out there. And just like baby Jackson, was good for this. So I just wanted to thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I
Tim.
appreciate this very much. I'll hang this in my office.
Right. So it's always a reminder of why you're doing this.
Beautiful.
Right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Karen and Sherwin, and Baby Jackson.
Thank you.
Thank you, Baby Jackson, for really being good, considering we've had you here waiting a long time. But I want to thank you so much for sharing your story as well. And I wish you the best with Baby Jackson, and what a blessing. And it's just, for the whole family to be blessed.
I think that's a day he'll never forget.
Yep. That's right, Dave, you will never forget.
He was on camera.
That's right. So, yeah, that's right. Now we have to look at it.
Well-behaved.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So I just want to thank you for seeing how important this program is, and that if you know other people that possibly are put in a situation that they don't know what to do, is that you'll be able to tell them about the Baby Safe Haven program. And so, again, my tagline is keep inspired blessings within arm's reach to help give you comfort when others are lost for words. Thank you, and God bless.
With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible.